Well, hello, wealthy women. I have a beautiful interview to share with you today. Whitney is going to tell us all about her amazing work and how she helps people. It is going to inspire you so much that I know that you're going to say, I have to reach out to her and find out more. And I just know, like, the success questions that we also will talk about, it will really help you because she is just so wise and so like your best friend next door and such an expert at what she does. So it's like the perfect combination. So please enjoy this beautiful interview we're about to start. And go ahead, Whitney, tell us all about you, who you are, what you do, and how you are here to make a difference and change the lives of others for the better.
First, thank you. My gosh, you just made my heart feel so full. So thank you for that lovely introduction. So I'm Whitney from Start Your Better Life, and we are here to powerfully transform women's lives and their success through health, wealth, and happiness by deep emotional release, detoxing a lifetime of hidden emotional residue that's silently sabotaging you, us, all of us, and we all have it. And one of the most wonderful aspects that I've been thinking about this morning is speaking to your audience, who are amazing people on the forefront of their ideas, their dreams, their goals. And it is one of the most vulnerable, exhilarating, and frustrating choices that we can make. And I am so excited to share ideas that can help them over those hurdles and humps. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited.
Uh, Tell us a little bit about how you got involved with the work that you're doing. How did you know that this is it, that this is what you want to focus your life on, and you just get out of bed with a big jump in your step and a smile on your face? Like, how did
Mm.
you know that? Because a lot of people just want to understand if they're on the right course, or they yet haven't yet figured out what they might want for their own business, but they know they want to do something.
First, that pops up. One thing I learned along the way is if you're a seeker, sometimes it's not about finding the answer. And we can get very frustrated and feel bad about ourselves and be so mean in our mental chatter because we keep finding things and we think that's it. But one thing I want to say to everybody, if you're here to provide a service and you're compiling all these skills and all of this knowledge, experience, sometimes that's just because you're a seeker and you will always be a seeker. And that actually makes you a great person doing what you're doing, because you're here to collect all this stuff and then you want to share it. And that's
Yes.
how I got here. Now, the road is windy with lots of, little trails into unknown paths that either you spontaneously choose or that life kind of throws at you. And I had a lot of those dark moments early in my life: panic disorder, illness, death, uncertainty, abandonment, real gripping fear and aloneness. Because when you do that early, you don't have a lot of peers having the same experience. And here's the beauty of what I do now: it would be a sin not to share all the things that I've learned, that we don't have to suffer,
Mhm.
at least
Yes.
not for longer than right that than
Yes.
the moment.
That's what I always think. I realize whenever maybe there are moments when I get in my own way, or it's about somehow I make it about myself. I have to take myself out of the equation and realize that the work I'm doing ultimately is meant to serve others and be of some benefit. And if I don't show up, I don't help. And that I can't do that because I am definitely wanting to give and be of service, right? And so it's a great motivator. It's one of the things that many of my clients, as well as myself, have been able to get out of their own way, especially when it comes to being visible online, because we're all a little bit nervous in the beginning. But if you frame it in a way that, yes, it is you showing up online, but it's more about your message and how you can serve and be a benefit to others. This takes that little bit of the ego that we all have out of the way and allows us to do what we're meant to do. And that is, to help transform the lives of others for better. Because, like you said, it feels like such a sin or a waste to not show up, knowing that you can make such a difference in someone's life. And the only reason maybe that doesn't happen is you start spinning or you get in your own way. And so you're able to help people kind of basically get out of their own way as well. So tell us a little bit about, like, how do you work with someone, a little bit about your programs, and maybe where they can find you as well.
Yeah, I always skip that part. Startyourbetterlife.com. I'm the worst self-marketer. I'm like, let's just get into the meat. Let's just do the work. But then they can't find me.
That's it.
So
I always forget to introduce myself and my company. Every time I do an interview, I always forget to say, hey, this is Coach Tamara from Wealthy Woman Every Day. At some point, I have to put some, what do they call it? The intros and the outros in the back of your podcast, because I'm like you. I totally forget all the time.
Well, it's so exciting to talk and share and help inspire people because, like you said, showing up is hard. And we can think about it and it sounds great, but then we get there and it's like, and you put on the brakes. So there's a great exercise that you can do right now. And I, for years, I actually I was lucky. I had a lot of one-on-one referral clients because of just word of mouth. So I really got to spend lots of years not even doing any marketing, the most basic, right? Website. And so, but that obligation to give yourself to the world is there, right? To help people. And at one point, I almost didn't even do this thinking, oh, there's so many people already doing, at the time it was just EFT and it's built around so many different tools I've learned. And I look back, those people, I wouldn't have been able to help those people who have radically transformed their lives, earning 7 times their income, 3 times their income, serving other people. One of my clients went from just a hot mess in her 60s, who now serves children with dyslexia, radically changing their trajectories and their families' lives. And what if she hadn't shown up for these little kiddos? Right? So what I do is basically, if you're lucky, you find me when you're young before you have to keep butting your head against those walls, the ones that logic can't fix, information stacking can't fix, even yoga and EMDR sometimes can't fix, right? And we're like, well, maybe it's just me, or I'm broken, and all the stories that keep us feeling that little bit of heaviness or that lot of heaviness and stuck out of it, right? And I will get back to the exercise. But going into the body holds stuck moments. And what happens is that part hijacks your brain and partners with your brain to keep you away from what you're doing. So back to the exercise, I was like, what is going on with me? I have this thing, this burning desire to share it with the world and to expand who I can touch and transform, right? Making the whole world better, by the way. When we help one person or 10 people, that makes the whole world quantifiably better, right? I finally sat down. I was like, this is ridiculous. And I wrote a list. Okay, give me the valid reasons why I can't show up on a video. Well, I'm not young enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not old enough. I'm not serious enough looking. I'm not a man. I'm not the bearded white Messiah on the mountain. I mean, when you sit down and listen, and I think some meditation gurus say this a lot, like the mind is just, if you start to listen, it just is nonsensical.
Yeah.
Right? And so I just started laughing. Basically, my mind said, this is not safe. And here are any direction that you turn, I will shut the door for you. The mind can hold more than one idea and opposite ideas. I want the cookie. I want to lose weight.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I want to build my business, but Netflix is calling. Right. And so through this tool and the bigger step, and this is really what I do and I help people get past, our mind is like a hand or a foot. This is the gift of my mother who had early Alzheimer's. And I sat there wondering how we can still live without this thing. Our mind is us, right? No, it's a tool that has been given to us. We are not our thoughts. We are not even our experiences, but we identify with that. Oh my gosh, little Johnny made fun of me in second grade when I stood up and wrote whatever on the board. And so now I can never do public speaking again. Those are experiences. They will never be who you are. So pull your locus of control into your body and let your mind start feeling like hand or a foot, right? A tool that we give the orders to. So
I love this.
that's a lot.
I love this. It's so true, though, what you're saying about sometimes you don't even recognize the block that you have. I know we talked about this. I went through this with a block that I was having, and it took a coach within 15 minutes to not only see it herself, but it wasn't enough. She didn't want to tell me what my block was. She wanted to help me figure it out, which, of course, makes it that much more impactful. And then she helped me heal it. And the fact that it stood in my way, this block, for a couple years. And I knew it was there, but I didn't know what it was. And I'm like, what is going on? And this was related to money. And that's one of the main reasons I became a money coach. But it confirmed with me no doubts that having a coach or a mentor help you, because we can't always see our blind spots. I truly thought I knew everything there's to know about me, and I was like, how did I not catch that? It was shocking and a little bit disturbing that I didn't even realize what my big issue was. And however, it also made me so grateful that there are coaches like yourself out there that can help somebody be able to see what the problem is. It's like, I think people know they have a problem. They just don't know why, or where is it coming from? Sometimes we do, but sometimes we don't. But then even if we do, how in the world to fix it is another thing, because then we're constantly going up, the cookie or the lost weight is a perfect example. We want both. How do we figure out that conundrum, right? But it just shows you, why having a coach or a mentor help you to quantum leap, basically, and do it in a much more profound way. And I love that you can help people with this, because it gets them on their own proper course quickly and more enjoyably when they can be in their full essence of who they are, right?
I love that. That is exactly right, because it isn't my protocol for you to be me. It's really has nothing to do about me, and it's how to get you in alignment, or the parts that are pulling back in alignment with who you want to be. And sometimes that just feels like absolute peace and clarity in the present moment. And the rest is like, life is here to explore. Right. And a lot of my clients, my book is called Make Everything Easier, because all of my clients in one way or another was like, well, it just got easier. It's like, so for 20 years, for 30 years, for 50 years, this has happened and it just got easier. And they start laughing, right? Because when you shift those parts, like you experience, like whether you know what the problem is or not, it has a way of getting your logical mind out of the equation.
Yes.
And once you partner with that part and go and let it off the hook, and you can be healed as fast as you can be traumatized now.
Yes.
You become more you. You don't become your mom, your dad, the societal image you absorbed through TV shows after school for, decades. You become you. And there is just nothing better than that. And it does make everything easier, right?
It does. And more enjoyable. And a lot of the times I'll find myself, whatever the situation might be, I'll remind myself to ask myself, because I have permission to choose how I want to live my life and design it, right? And sometimes we forget that. We're just like, okay, I'm supposed to do this, our to-do list, check it off. And sometimes it's like, okay, Tamara, what is the most enjoyable way that you can do this? Whatever that might be. Or what is the easiest way that you can do this? And it is amazing. Not only does that just feel so empowering to be like asking yourself, like, how do you prefer that? I mean, it's just a beautiful thing. And there's so much creativity comes out of it. And also you get super clear, super fast. And you're like, hey, I can design this. I don't have to do it, because we all do and learn in different ways. And we really, like you said, one of the best things in the world is really getting to know what makes you the happiest doing the things that you're doing and how you're doing them. So I love this. Before we get on to our success questions, just go ahead and share your website one more time because I definitely want people to check out your work and your offers and what you have going on over there.
Startyourbetterlife.com.
I
Pretty
love
easy.
this. And yes,
Startyourbetterlife.com, right?
and like I just was confirming, I started my better life within 15 minutes. This coach helped me change the trajectory of I had a money block. She helped me fix it. I was so impressed and empowered by that. I also have a background as an educator. So I just knew right then and there, oh my goodness, I want to be a coach and I want to help women fix their money problems and get in empowerment. And so just having someone help you quickly and so beautifully, I mean, we get to change lives and help lives, right? And everybody listening, you have work to do that's going to help lives and change lives for the better. So get yourself out there and out of your way, out of your own way and get going, right?
Exactly, exactly.
Yes.
So one of the things, if you don't mind, I know we have
Yes,
questions
please.
and maybe it will come up in the questions, but something that you just triggered is one of the things I don't say that I've been kind of noodling is the way I've created my work is as close as done for you emotional release as you can get. It's like putting the guardrails up and, when we walk, I've been to therapists, love them, no shade, but that's about the story and, it is very beneficial. But what I do is we have the rails up and we're going and you don't have to try. You just follow the pieces and it's designed to get past all the guards and the what ifs and whatever and radically help you do it so you're not alone. So it's really as close to done for you emotional release as I've
Yes.
ever experienced. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love that. I love that because we do want to get on with our best selves, right?
Mhm.
Excuse me. And having a system that guides you or has, everything in place for you that you already know what's most likely coming up around the corner so you can help navigate to get the best results for your clients.
Fast,
Yeah,
quickly,
I love
very
that.
quick.
I love that. Okay, excuse me. I just had a tickle in my throat. Okay, on to the success questions. I love this part. I love every part, but this is really great. So, um, we are going to go over success questions meant to inspire and share your journey, how you have circumnavigated certain things or overcome certain things to get to where you are today. And the first question I always like to ask is, what would be your number one professional tip for women to grow their businesses?
Number one tip. One, make lists. Always write it down, just like why I can't go on social media. Just always write down whenever you're feeling resistance, make the list. Always write down every day. It doesn't have to be 20 pages. It could literally be on a scratch paper, but use writing to help you organize because thoughts, they just come in fast and we think that they're organized, but then the kids come or the husband or the date or just fatigue and the cookie and Netflix, right? So always every day write down 3 to 5 things right? And then do that. And
Yes.
if you're blocked, just write down why I'm blocked. Just no judgment. Just let it come up.
I also like what you're saying about like the mind just has a mind of its own. It just wanders. I actually on this weekend, I noticed this. I was sitting and relaxing. I was having my cup of coffee. I mean, and I just found my mind literally going, this thought, that thought, this thought, this thought. And at first I was just in it. And then all of a sudden I decided to kind of pull myself out of myself and look at myself. I'm like, what are you doing? You're having like 20 different thoughts in a matter of 3 minutes. Relax, calm down. And you are so right, because sometimes, a lot of the times, my thinking is always related to business and how it, what I want to do, how to make it better, how to reach this person. And getting it on paper is so important, because the thing is, I think we are worried that we're going to forget it, and so those type of things, it's so important to get on paper, or the things you keep spinning about, right? Like, you're just giving yourself a hard time, and then, like you said, write it down and then really ask it a questions. What's the worst that could happen? Okay, let's confront this consistent idea that you have going on in your head where you think you're blocked, and let's get through it. So writing is such a great skill set. So I couldn't agree more, right? Absolutely. Good
I have so many
advice.
examples, and I know you have other questions. So,
No, this is okay. It's all good.
so one is when you write them down, that, when we're creative and we're like, oh, brainstorming about all the fun stuff that we could
Yep.
pull our business into or invite someone else into, we write it down. And sometimes after you write it down, you're like, oh, that wasn't actually, I felt the chemical biological reaction of the excitement of creating, but sometimes it's just an idea passing through and it's attached to other things. And so you can let certain things go that are not for you, that might keep you stuck. The other thing is overwhelm. One of my clients called last night and she was just spinning out of control. And I was like, okay, well, do you have a piece of paper? And it's like, let's just write it down. And it was like things like going to a grocery store and taxes and this, and then I have billing
all at once. Yeah.
right? And then we wrote it down, and within minutes, I could just, we were on the phone, so I didn't see her, but I could see her body landing, and all of a sudden she was like, oh, I can do this. Like, this isn't a big deal.
It's so true what you're saying. And I have done this too. Like, I have my master to-do list right on my desk here. And if I look at them and I'm like, oh my goodness, I have so much to do. Yes, that's true. And it will always be the case all the way through, because that's just life, right? No matter what. But if you start to say, okay, over a calendar month, if I were to do 3 per week, that's 12. And then you count it up and you only have, let's say, 15, you're like basically done. And so then all of a sudden you're like, oh, 3 per week, that's no big deal. I can do that. And it just does. It just diffuses the overwhelm situation. We spin ourselves out over, which we shouldn't. And yeah, I just, it's so important, because overwhelm, especially for a brand new business owner, this is
Oof.
one of the things that can just take you down right away. And you have to be really careful to not let it steal your joy for why, and your purpose for why you started the business in the first place. And I
And your
always say, keep, and say what? Say?
and your whole life.
Exactly. And it's not enjoyable. And this is where I also got into, what is the most enjoyable way that I can do this? And like a perfect example, let's say the Netflix or the work or the cookie or the losing the weight. I have noticed for myself, I can do very good on extremes. Like like I'm really, like, if I cut it all out and am very harsh on myself, I can do that. The problem is the joy and the sustainability. And so then, you have to, at least what I am doing now is I'm finding a way to incorporate both sides, that it's enjoyable. Like, there's something, because if you keep taking away and not keeping what you do love, at some point it's just, it's like the
The
only
burden.
protein.
It's the
Yeah,
burden. The burden. What's the point?
exactly.
So you bring me
What
to
is,
the first line in my book. Read along and let me show you how you're already perfect. So what's cool about your story is that there's an idea we're taught very early on that perfection is something we have to achieve, right? And my premise, first of all, reject the premise is a big thing that I say all the time. And you have always been perfect. You were perfect when you were falling while learning to walk, and somehow it changes. And then all the anxiety of the adults and the world and fear and none of sleep and none of bandwidth all makes us feel like, well, then I need to get A's to be perfect, or I'm not perfect, so I need to hide because I don't want to get A's, or I can't decode the process, all the things, right? We can go
Yes.
on and on and on and on. And here's the thing right now, if you're listening or listening, to the recorded version, you're always perfect. And what you just described is like, I'm perfect going all in, and I'm
Yes.
getting a lot of information from that experience. So
Yeah.
then I'm able to create the next perfect moment,
That's right. That's
which
right.
is like, well, what does balance look like for me? And it might be different, right? To somebody else.
Exactly.
And then you
Exactly.
ride that until you go, well, then because I have this, now I can evolve perfection walks with you no matter what you're doing, even if you're a hot mess.
Absolutely, because we are beautiful creations and we're all here with our own perfect selves without having to even try to be perfect. We just are.
Mhm.
And the idea that when you start to ask yourself, what is the most enjoyable way I can do this? What are my goals, my desires, but how would I like to have them come to pass? And when you start designing your own life to fit your needs, sort of like Michelangelo's sculpture, right? We're just marble and let's chisel it away to fit ourselves. It is such a beautiful experience and such a necessary experience, and so authentic and so joyful. And, we really, this is when we start to question those societal norms or how we were raised or what we were taught. And we have to question those things to make sure, do they fit us? Is this what, how I want to go forward? Or how can I go forward in this way that is more suitable to my personality? And it's about receiving, it's about giving yourself permission to receive it the way you want to design your life for yourself. And yes, we can use, examples from others that have, let's say, achieved what we would like to achieve, and look for the clues, of course, look for the clues, and then see how we can adapt them to our own life and, just create this beautiful experience for ourselves and then benefit others, right? So that's what I love about the work that you're doing, because it's so about, you are already perfect. Now let's just design the path that is the best path for you, right?
And unhook all the pieces that are keeping you in the past or in a
Yes.
different form that hasn't maybe ever been you.
Yes, exactly.
And
Exactly.
mining the superpower that you learn navigating those things.
Yes. It's really just one of the most beautiful experiences, this transformation of self, and it's not meant to happen quick and fast and perfect. It's meant to evolve, and it can, of course, yeah, like certain blocks, like we were talking about, those we
Yeah.
want to fix, but the whole process of choosing yourself, basically, so you can show up properly for everybody else, right?
Right.
Okay, I love this. We did a nice thorough experience on that. Okay, so let's see. Share in detail how you feel more successful and wealthier in the bigger sense of the word by having had the opportunity to build your own business. Like, what is your most favorite part of being your own boss, your own entrepreneur?
Well, I get to work from home, which is a big deal, and control a lot of little elements. And that is just like, navigating it. But when you said that, I saw a picture of myself when I was 7 years old. And would stay up late with my big fat pencil that I had because I'm dyslexic, and the teacher's like, she can't write with a pen anyway. So I had to get this big fat like kindergarten pencil. But I would draw these little newsletter maps and then roll them up with ribbon, put them in a basket, and wander around my neighborhood selling them. There was this desire to interact with the world in this way so early on. And basically I've worked for myself my whole life.
Yeah.
And not so successful moments and successful moments. I remember sitting in my apartment with $100 in my bank account.
Yep.
And I was a consultant with a publishing company, McGraw-Hill, for a while, and the part that I was doing dried up. And I remember thinking, like, what next? And fear started to sink in, right? Like, I was in a situation, and the next level of my personal training that now I help other people, I let in, and that was, there's an illusion that we're able to interact with more than we realize. And I just said, I have $100. I changed it from that's all I have to, I have this. And within like months, I was in a radically different place, in a big house, more money than I could ever imagine up until that point. And I did all right for myself, because we are the captain of our ship, but most times we don't know that we have to set the sail, or we're going to be crashed around by where the ocean wants us to go. And I think choosing to be at the helm, there's just no word. You're doing it. I know lots of listeners are doing it. There's nothing that feels better when you get to choose your life and watch life say, okay.
Yes. Agreed. I might want to go off topic here because I think that you can help with this. And I think that this is probably something we talked about already. And I think I'm not alone. Can you help maybe give an overview for people what they can do when, for example, they want to have, like for me, let's just use the chocolate bar and the lost weight, because I think this can resonate to that specifically, or many other categories. For me, I would like to, of course, have my 19-year-old body, right? So I know what I have to do to have that. All right, just say lose a little weight. Okay, but I want to occasionally have my potato chips or chocolate or whatever it might be. And so that's what I'm saying, when I keep it all out of the house and I'm extreme in it, it's actually easier for me than if it's there and I allow myself, let's say, once a week or something. It's actually harder. Like for me, anyway, I don't know. But I ask myself this. I said, what is the thing that is the issue here? And it always comes back. And I think it's because we're talking about the beauty of the freedom of owning our own business. We like that freedom. That freedom means so much to us, right? And so I think with this whole idea, for example, of give up the chocolate bar so you can get in the better shape, all of a sudden it's taken away my freedom. And then I'm rebelling. I'm like, I want my freedom. And like, it's like, but at the same time, then you have to maybe not lose as much weight, right? And then I tried to like talk with myself. I'm like, okay, well, you have to realize the freedom of having, doing moderate behavior. You lose some of the weight. That also makes your body better. So, you are giving yourself freedom, because there's a freedom in knowing that you lost some of the weight that you wanted to lose. And that is a great feeling too. But regardless, I do, in all honesty, this is one of those tough ones. And I don't think I'm alone. You have some advice on this. Please help
Well,
us.
I'm listening to you. And so I want you thinking about that. Like, look at what you're doing while you're looking at the candy bar versus like my physical outcome. Where's that energy?
It's in my head.
Yes, it is very much in your head.
Yes.
And so what's happening up there? Like, it's
Oh,
all
it's like a debate team up there. It's like and this is the nonstop chatter, and it's exhausting my brain. And I can
right.
see both sides, but somehow, it just goes on and on.
So if you take a deep breath and then see the debate thing, see how you resist the debate thing or how it pulls you into, like, I can see that you're great at it. It's pulling you energetically, like your whole energy up into your brain. It's like, yeah, we're doing this because I'm really smart and I can make the quadrants and I can organize this and I know the benefits and I know this, and you're not going to win, but I also know the benefits of me losing this battle because I like that benefit too. Like your whole body is up there. Right? So reject the premise, right? And go, okay, thank you. Because your mind is doing something very valuable that you learned a very long time ago to win, navigate, survive. And that part isn't even about the candy bar. That's familiar and feels good. The struggle, the mental battle.
Like the drama queen mentality.
I mean, no labels. It's how you would, right?
Yeah.
That
I'm just thinking of that because I hear that sometimes, like people want to stay in that drama because it's some kind of an endorphin rush or something like that. So possibly
familiar. It's familiar. It's familiar. Like writing the list. Like I had a client after she did some work and she goes, Whitney, I was driving in my car and I heard myself starting a fight with somebody about something that hadn't even happened yet. And it was so familiar. And I've been doing that since I was a little kid, railing in my mind against my parents, silently raging out. And then guess who never let me down? A giant bag of chips.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Yeah.
Or, like I will never be let down. I will never really be alone or really be abandoned. That's her story. But so when you think of the candy bar and you let your debating mind actually let the candy bar or the chips or whatever exist, and you look at it, ask your body, not your mind, what do I lose if I can't have this?
Yeah, I think for mine is, I shouldn't even really say chocolate bar. I actually eat very well. I think for me specifically is I have a degree in the culinary arts. So the idea of creativity and food, the beauty of food is so meaningful to me. I mean, I was trained to appreciate and love food and create dishes out of it. And so that sacrifice sometimes, not always, because you can be a creative chef with all of the better ingredients, but every once in a while, like if you're going on one of these so-called bad diets, all of a sudden you're supposed to cut something out completely and you're like, oh, that's my freedom taken away. And I think for me, see, it's probably a bad example for me because it is specific
a
to,
great
I have
example.
like,
it's a great example.
I have like 150 cookbooks and trained chef, and I'm like, okay, but I have to lose weight, but I love food and value food and creating food and meals. And how do I, figure that out, and like, it's that kind of, for me, it's more of a creative freedom being taken kind of, having to be cornered or taken away from a little bit, but yet I still want to.
I'm wrangling myself not to die full because I'm like, oh no, there's so many pieces here, right? Because the construct is that I can't cook because I want to lose weight. I can't cook what I want. There's so many different so I would go back again to the feeling of like having something important taken away. And the rebellion of it. I have a client whose rebellion with food was like his family, there was a divorce. And his thing was like, yeah, I eat out of spite. Like, you will not destroy my life. It's the only thing I can still control. He's in his 50s.
Eat out of, don't tell me what to do. I'm a rebel. So that's where it's coming from. I know I'm a maverick. I'm a rebel. I already know my archetype. So like for me, it's like, I don't like to be told what to do, even if it's from my own self.
But you're not alone, right?
Yeah, I'm not alone. But I didn't bring this up specifically for me in general. I was just thinking this is such a universal thing probably for many women. So like, knowing that I have my own issues. So what you're basically saying is whether it's, the cookie or the body or the Netflix or the work or whatever it might be, you're basically saying that person, go in and figure out why you are fighting for it. Why are you rebelling? What are you debating? Figure out where that's coming from, because it's tied to something in the past where they're, that's why they're rebelling against it. And once they figure that out to some degree, they might be able to then kind of pull it together and have a better solution for the circumstance.
Yeah. And I would say not try to figure it out. That's like aggressive. When you're going to those parts, they're way smarter than you and they always win.
Yeah, that's true
That's
too.
why manifestation, affirmations, they work great if there's no resistance. It's like magic.
Yes.
But why do we put post-it notes and we have to say it over and over again? And then we go outside and we do the opposite and we're like, get all frustrated with ourselves, because if there's something in there for survival, it will always win and you can't figure it out with all the figuring in the world. What you can do is lean in and get curious about that perspective that is valid, even if it doesn't make sense to your logical mind.
Yes.
And bring it up to the present moment, because all those parts do not tell time. That's why, you can be great and also bringing the cooking, the rebel, the maverick to business. Do you know how many times we don't do things in our business just because you can't tell me what to do? For the longest time, like, I'm not niching down. You can't tell me what to do.
That's so true. So many business owners, we have definitely, we hear this, we have to niche down, and it is such a resistance thing. And, I think, well, we might have hit a little bit on the head here, because most of us that are entrepreneurs already have a little rebellious nature in us as it is. I think we're a little bit courageous. We're a little bit fearless. We're a little bit, ready to gamble our desires and go forward, and we have a lot of confidence and belief in ourselves, and we just we don't like um things in our way, and
all the stuff.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I'm kind of glad I brought it up, even though this is, I wasn't looking necessarily for resolution, but just the awareness. I want to let everybody out there that's hearing this know that no matter what it is, this is a kind of normal human behavior, right? And what you're saying, it's coming from this survival mode, and we can't always figure out why we're doing what we're doing. And again, this goes back. I'm glad you're a coach, because you can help people to break those blocks. And I can help people break their money blocks, right? And I had a coach that helped me break a block that I couldn't see. And so it is really, I think we all get a sense that, oh, I'm having a hard time transforming this in myself. I don't exactly know why, just know it's there. And then, working through that, getting it out on paper, feeling it, like you were saying, some of those activities, and then getting a coach, getting a mentor to help pull you through that for the parts that you can't see, because, there are blind spots for sure. Absolutely. And that's why,
Absolutely.
yeah. And I love this work because, yeah.
I've had coaches to get me here.
Absolutely.
I had coaches to even open up the idea that there was a possibility of radically letting go of big, heavy emotions that we think we just need to drag around behind us and we can never be free of. And just a tiny spark of that is what led me to believe, like, well, if that little part happens, what if you do it on a large scale and clean out all the cobwebs?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. The quantum leaps we could make, and the more enjoyable experiences we could have on our journeys, right? So you probably, when people get in touch with you, you can share this with them. But I just want to say, Whitney shared with me a video of an interview she was doing with this lovely gentleman. And let me tell you, she delivered, is all I can say. This man that she was just having a podcast interview, he had no idea that his life was right. He had no idea that all of a sudden you were going to get into a topic that was revealing his own block that he was having that he did not see. And all I could say, by the end of it, this man was fully transformed and will never be the same, and was so pumped up and excited and shocked that he didn't, like myself, when my coach found my block, shocked that he didn't even realize he had it, and so grateful and excited knowing that going forward now he was a changed person and how he was going to do things. So I don't know if you, I haven't checked your website if you have this on there, but if anyone comes your way, I love this. I said, oh my goodness, Whitney, we have to. You are an amazing. Whitney's amazing at what she does. I mean, we're only kind of skirting the surface here because we have a lot to cover in this interview. But what I can tell you, I've seen her work firsthand, and wow, and it was such an enjoyable to see the mind going and then the shifts happening like right before your eyes. It was like we got to be a voyeur in a way of watching a whole transformational session. And beautiful work, Whitney, on that. That man
Oh,
is probably still sending you thank you notes.
we talk we from then we've been talking weekly and doing more work because he was
Oh,
like,
good.
use me. And
Yes,
that was just a
yes.
mini. That was just a mini.
Yes,
Um,
it was. It really
yeah,
was. Because
yeah.
again, like mine, it's like an hour long or something like that. But can you imagine what it would be like to work with you in a bigger way? So get in touch with Whitney. She knows what she's doing.
Thank you.
Okay, a couple little more questions before we have to sign off. But I always like to ask this because I do believe in rituals and self-care and morning routines or whatever it would be. Do you have one? And what is it like?
I do. I drink lemon water with ginger, cayenne, and sometimes apple cider vinegar, and sometimes a little coconut. My little concoction. I've been doing it for years, but it's I talked to my son about like creating systems. It's like this chunking where I have the lemon water, and then I'm not an affiliate, but mud water, which is my new favorite little thing, or coffee, and then sometimes breakfast, and then I work out. So that's kind of my, yeah, gets
That's
me going.
and you notice such a big change with how you go forward in the day. Yeah, it's very good. Okay, what would you change about your business journey if you could go back, or would you change anything at all?
Yes, I would. I would not be hesitant. The hesitation and the self-doubt and I think a lot of people, coaches and mentors talk about this is like perfect enough, not perfect. Like we talk about,
Mhm.
perfection in, but then we do assess what we're doing. And
Yeah,
if perfection is always with you, you can't get to the next perfect version of your business if you're waiting for it to be perfect, you
yeah.
know? And don't hesitate extending offers, even if you don't have it all together. You know what? I spent an incredible amount of money on this program, I guess at the beginning of this year, and it was hugely disappointing.
Yeah.
Basically, they had a 100% failure rate. The guy
Mm.
had an idea, he didn't sell it as beta, he sold it as super high ticket. I went in, and here's the gift. I didn't come out empty handed. I was like, my gosh, I have raked over the coals of making sure I'm not making an empty promise for years. Well, let me test it again. Let me do it again. Let's do it. Let's make the group even bigger and make sure, test if we're still getting the right results. Like I am my biggest fear, and this is what held me up with my book too, is the fear of disappointing somebody.
Yeah. I have a similar experience with that, and it changed the way that I did my business. So like you, I didn't turn it into, okay, I'm the victim, something bad happened. I said, okay, what can I learn from this and how can I do it better? Because I didn't like how it felt. And it had to do with I bought a course, and then a little later the course was not only more affordable to the next person, but there were a ton of other bonuses,
Mm.
and I didn't get those bonuses and I paid more. And fair enough, that's life, that's business. However, I remember I didn't like the feeling. And I said to myself, I will never not give my prior clients bonuses that I maybe
Mm.
create at a later point after they have joined that I didn't even know I was going to create down the line. And I will make sure that everybody gets the bonus, not just the new people. And and that meant everything to me because one, I didn't like how it felt that I was denied some bonuses. Like, hello, I was with you even beforehand. Take care of me
Right.
too, please. Right. And I just wanted to never have someone feel that way about me. So like I have clients that have been with me for so long, they're still getting new bonuses, and it's like, but that makes me feel good. And I don't want to disappoint, and I want to go above and beyond. And so, yes, we learn from the good parts that happen, but we also learn from the parts that don't make us feel so great, and how we can turn it around and make it better, right? And make our own programs better based on seeing someone else do their program not so wonderfully. And then so we can learn from the ones that are doing it wonderfully and model a little bit from them, but we can also see, whoa, that's how I never want to do it. So let me make sure and go through my own program to make sure that I am not missing anything. Right. So I love that you turn that experience around.
And there are parts of it that I know are going to move forward with me. We all have ideas. We all want to make a big impact. We all want to move the needle for people. But
Yeah.
sometimes there's an incubation period, or sometimes there's, technology thing. There's just a lot of things, right? And so trial and error is a part of life. And I feel like, okay, I, for whatever reason, was drawn into this situation for more than just the end
Yeah.
result, right?
Yes. Yes.
Paulo
Absolutely.
Coelho in his book, The Alchemist. Are you familiar with that book?
Oh, yes, of course.
Right.
Mhm.
So remember in the beginning,
Beautiful
he's
book.
like, I've been a seeker. I've done all of these programs, and some have worked and
Yes,
some have not.
that's
And
right.
some felt like they didn't work. But over time,
Yeah.
I've seen the unfolding. And if I stay tight and
Mhm.
don't trust anything, and I'm so afraid of getting scammed or disappointed or let down or whatever it is, my outcome doesn't match
Yes.
my idea, I can't do anything.
Love this because it goes right back to being open to receiving. And one of my favorite things to say in all areas of life is, this isn't happening to me, it's happening for me. And there's always a lesson to be found if you look for it. And there's always growth opportunities. And we should never close up and try and self protect ourselves from our others, because all that does is repel everything off of us. Because you have to have faith and trust and be open to receiving in order to grow forward. And
And you're the only one in the room. You are the only one in the room. You're the only one in the room. You're the only one in the room. I have a great story I want to tell. I know we're running
yes,
out of
please
time.
do. No,
So
let's
one of
do
my
that.
first clients, like years ago, like, oh my gosh. So we were all in. He hated his boss. Like, he's just like narcissistic,
Yeah.
hurtful, never appreciative, and was in this entanglement. And we used this person, not because to say, oh, this person isn't all of these things. It's like, how does this person scramble you up? And we use the scrambled up part, right? This is happening for me, to dismantle so many things. This person first doubled their income, which was their goal. I don't know if we talked about this before. And then I was like, oh, yay. He was so excited, right? He'd been working so hard, and like it evolved so much. He lost 20 pounds for the first time in 30 years. His biological markers were all in a healthier place. So his relationships were better just by working on this tyrannical, horrible boss, right? And how it impacted him. And he finally burst in and he was like, oh my gosh, I got it. I doubled my income. It's here. And I just casually was like, well, why don't you double it again? And he lost his mind, started screaming at me like, nothing is ever enough, whatever. And after he had his fit, I'm just sitting there, and he looked at me, he started laughing because like, what is it? Like, do it or don't do it. Like, it doesn't impact me at all. This is but I was like, you did it. So, and he settled down. Within 3 months, he had doubled his income again. His boss was now his partner. Still didn't like him. And then I think by the end of that year, I can't remember exact timeline, he had 7 times his income.
He just owned it. He owned himself and took radical responsibility for himself.
He used this monster of a person that
Yep.
bugged to heal his own stuff
Yes.
to open up to the abundance of life.
Yes, because everything is here to teach us something, right? Yeah,
If
I
we
love
allow it,
that.
if we
Yes, if
allow it.
we allow it. That's the whole receiving part. Oh my goodness. You know, I could talk to you for hours. You're just amazing.
You are.
Amazing. I love this. This was we zagged in our interview, but I love it because I think it really picked up on some key issues and really kind of like gave a little bit of a glimpse of what it could be like to really work with you and get going in a much, deeper experience for transformation, which obviously we didn't have a chance to really do that here, but you can just get that sense. So I'm so thankful for the work that you're doing, for how you're helping people. And I just want to say thank you for being a part of this. And it's been a pleasure. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And I could talk to you for hours too.
Oh, thank you so much. And so I told you, beautiful, wealthy women out there, you are always going to be able to grow and build your dreams and follow your heart. Just be open, just talk to yourself, ask yourself questions, get yourself some help so that you can quantum leap your business, your successes, and enjoy the journey. Just stay in positivity. Remember, everything happens for a reason. It's there to guide you, teach you, so you get to know yourself better. So you design the life that you want for yourself and be open to receiving and just keep going for your dreams. So until the next time, I will see you soon. Bye for now. Okay. I just always need my little glasses to see.